Oh, it's been a little while since we've done this, hasn't it? It's been a little while. Just a little. Not long. Not too long. It's been fine. How are we doing, everybody? Good news, Team KO. It's literally just started. Hello, Gur. Hello, Aussie. Hello, Purbicide. Hello, Freakish. Hello, Anti-Lad. Hello, Wolf and back. Hello, Bradley. How are we all doing? Oh, we're doing this again. We're trying to do this again. We're going to be doing streams multiple times a week. We had to stop last year, which was garbage. We got into a nice little routine. We got into quite a nice little routine. And then I got COVID again. Except whatever version of COVID I had lingered for so long that I was still coughing like months later. Literally months later. Even when we did our little one-off streams for the previews, I had to cut those relatively short because I still wasn't up to like at 100%. It's just been endless. It's been constant. But finally, back to normal. Of course, this morning I didn't mean to leave you listening to the music quite so long. I suddenly remembered that I needed a hoodie, so I had to go and get one, then I couldn't find one, so... How are we all doing? As always, as you've probably forgotten because it's been so long since we've streamed consistently, you can make Doreen say stuff, if you would like to. She can talk, she can say things, she reads Superchats out loud, she has no standards, but then again, you know, she's slightly Tory, so that's to be expected. Hello, Zingbo. Hello, Wolver. Hello, Candace Elmer. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Amethyst. Oh, yeah, we're going to try and get back into doing this a few times a week. That was what was supposed to happen. We did that a bit last year, having rejigged everything, and then just, yeah, illness took me out. But we're not letting that happen this year. We're going to go for a year without any sort of COVID infection. That's the goal. That's the aim. It's only a small aim, but it'd be nice if we managed it. It'd be really nice if we managed it. Did we all enjoy our Christmases and New Year's as well? And did you get what you're after? That's the most important thing. Did you get what you were after for the old world? Did you achieve? Did your friendly local gaming store get more than one product? Because quite a few of them did not. Quite a few of them got naff all. There is a reason why I didn't put a post on the community tab saying, hey, Old World is coming up. Go to Element Games, use my affiliate link to buy your stuff. And that's because every store that I know of, every store that I have an idea of like their stock levels and stuff, they just didn't get anything. So I just assumed that Element were going to be doing what they did with the Christmas Battle Forces, which is not put them up online and only have them in store. And I was absolutely correct on that. So I'm glad I didn't try and direct you all there this time round. I've seen sprue pics, a lot of them are stamped 1993. Well, yeah. Sold out quickly on the main store. Did manage to get one a few hours later. Oh, that's not too bad. Hearing that the Deathwing box will be GW store only. They're like stocking issues. I don't know. I don't feel like it's getting any better. If anything, it's starting to feel like it's getting a bit worse. It's starting to feel like it's just not improving at all. That things are so heavily geared towards only GW getting any sort of stock, which is not ideal. It's not ideal for third-party retailers. It's definitely not ideal for customers because it's far more expensive. They have too many products and too few machines to make them. Well, yeah. They have a lot. They have a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. And it certainly feels like, when it comes to initial runs at least, little bit tricky to get everything out the way it should be got out. Priced up a Khemri collection for one of each thing, and it was over £600. As cool as the fantasy universe is, me and my group are not prepared to pay that. That's absolutely fair. High profit margin if they sell direct. That is also true, Jim. Yep. Oh, well, here's the thing, Tam. Here's the thing. For Chaos Dwarves, there have been rumblings. There have been rumblings that Chaos Dwarves aren't in the old world because Chaos Dwarves are going to be in Age of Sigmar. Which, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But if that's the case, kind of would make sense. Hello, girl painting. You know what? Just out of curiosity, I'm looking on the site to see if stuff... Yeah, everything's out of stock. Literally everything is temporarily out of stock. Oh, man. It's great. It's like, it's not surprising, but it's also like, come on, lads. Come on. Oh, interesting. So all the Bretonnian stuff is out of stock. But a fair bit of the Tomb King stuff isn't. That's very interesting. I wonder why. I wonder why that's the case. Bretonnians just more popular, do we think? Just far more popular? Hello, Brendan. Bone Splitters must surely be on the AOS chopping block as well. Possibly. Hello, Ivy Mike. I mean, the nice thing is that the most important kit out of all of them is currently available, which is the Necrosphinx. That's the most important kit. I think we can all agree that that is the key. That is the one that is the most like desirable of everything, and that is still in stock. So that's good. That's good. The rest of them is like whatever, but the Necrosphinx is... It's important that that one remain available for as long as possible. Although I was hoping to get that from Element Games, and I can't. Oh, Necrosphinx is sold out on Ireland. Boo. Boo, I say. Bretonnia models have just held up better. I mean, to be fair, things like Cetra the Imperishable, I'm pretty sure those horses were first introduced in like 1982 or something. So I feel like some of the Tomb King stuff has definitely ended up being a little bit dated now. But then again, who is surprised that it's dated? Who is actually surprised that it's dated? It is full of old kits. Hello, Fenris Wolf. Oh dear, I'm losing the ability to talk already. That is true. I mean, Bretonnian stuff is basically just generic fantasy knights. Maybe a bit more fancy than other, manufacturers or designers make, but still kind of they're not as heavily stylized as a lot of the other stuff that Games Workshop does. I was tempted to go Tomb King's areas, but then, I mean, I'll be honest, the cost of the initial boxes, there's just no way. It's just no way. Like 175 quid. It's just not happening. And it's not just the fact it's 175 quid. I'm still in two minds about just re-releasing the old kits. On the one hand, it does make sense for them because they clearly don't have the supply to actually supply the amount of demand that it's created, even with just bringing back the old kits. I on the other hand, 175 quid when a good chunk of the stuff in there, in fact almost all of the stuff in there, is just old as hell designs, is like, I mean, technically, yes, you would pay more getting it all from eBay because it was all technically out of production. But oh my god. Managed to get one of each of the full Tomb King range. That's impressive. Missed the big faction book. The thing is, Tam, here's the thing. The old world doesn't need to be, like, the model designs don't need to be dated. You can do updated versions of what they are selling again now without losing what makes it old world. Like, the new stuff they've designed for Bretonnians, and actually no, I will say that I still think the big bone dragon alligator crocodile dragon thing for Tomb Kings is more AOS than I was expecting. But like the new stuff for Bretonnia is perfectly in line with the old stuff for Bretonnia. It's just more detailed. It's just more detailed. It's just more up to date. It just looks better. But it's not like it's a totally different style to what came before, you know? And with Tomb Kings, they have the ability to make, say, for Cetra the Imperishable, like the weakest part of that kit is the four like skeleton horses that just look old as hell. And you could update those without making them look like something they're not, you know? I'm primarily a Middle-earth strategist. Oh my god. Lord of the Rings player. just gave up immediately on that one. So the older sculpts thankfully don't bother me at all, but I get the price concerns. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's not like... They don't look bad. I'm not saying they look bad, but they look dated because they are dated. But I don't think they have the resources to do anything but kind of just re-release the older sculpts, which... Again, the older sculpts are fine for most people. And it also depends on what sculpt it is. Like, I'm not saying all of them are bad, because they're not. In fact, I think very few of them are bad. But things like the Ushabti and the Necrosphinx, like the Sepulchral Stalkers, look grand. So do the Necropolis Knights. It's just little things here and there. But even then, they're not, like, bad. Hello, Killer Kriegsman. Kind of annoyed the Lizardmen won't get rules update since they got a big model range update that could fit in the setting. Yeah, that's true. I don't know. It's been an interesting launch for the old world because it's not. It kind of felt like it was gearing up to be this massive thing, and then it wasn't as big as I thought it would be. $45,000 members on Facebook group. Poll, we only want old sculpts won 60% to 40% with like 4,000 votes, so they're no other audience. Fact, I mean, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. If people only want old, then just give them old. Let's face it, it's going to be easier for them. If people are satisfied with just only buying stuff that was previously available, Games Workshop don't need to go through the hassle of redesigning a bunch of kits. They can just sell on the old ones. The Ogre should also have rules. Half their range is still fantasy. Yeah, I can see that. That's, you know what, that's actually something when it comes to the pricing as well. As Nozomi Fenriswolf says, Old World is built on nostalgia. You're absolutely right. It is totally it is totally built on nostalgia. And they when I talk about the price being a bit much, the fact is the people who are most invested and excited for this aren't necessarily going to care about the price, because they've positioned the old world the same way that they position the Horus Heresy. You've got like this kind of tier system for Games Workshop products, where we kind of, I know the collective joke is like, oh, Games Workshop is way too expensive. Everything costs loads. The cost of plastic will, bankrupt you and all that. But when you look at things like Underworlds, that is a self-contained game where if you want to get into it, it does have a relatively hefty entry point, it being like 65 quid, but if you go halves with someone, then you're looking at about 30 quid each. And then once you've got those rules, if you want to expand what you're doing with that, you can buy an entire warband with all the stuff you need to play with that warband for 26 quid, which is, even less if you buy it third party, and especially new, like when they're first released, pretty much everything Underworlds related has been available through third parties. So Underworlds is actually a relatively cheap game compared to pretty much anything else Games Workshop makes. And then you've kind of got the slightly higher than that. You've got like your Necromunda and Kill Team and stuff, where it's not quite as expensive as, with them being skirmish games, Warcry as well, like not being as expensive as 40k in Age of Sigmar. And then you've got 40k in Age of Sigmar, and then you've basically got the big money games where it's basically Horus Heresy and now the old world. Like Horus Heresy, I think it's easy to forget, because I've literally spoken to people recently who are like, oh yeah, I've just got started in Horus Heresy. People said it was really expensive, but it's not that bad. It was really expensive. It used to be massively expensive because it was all forge wool. Everything was resin. If you wanted to build a Horus Heresy army, you were looking at spending like twice as much for any given unit than you would for 40k. You want 5 Space Marines? That's like 50 quid. Thanks very much. Like, it used to be way, way more expensive. And it still did exceptionally well, and it was still worth pursuing, and it was still worth massively increasing, how big that game was, how many units they had. The old world is positioned exactly the same. It's for people with a vast amount of money. Well, not vast, but you know what I mean. It's aimed fully at the people who have that much more to spend and are completely hooked by the nostalgia of being able to get all the things that they had before or didn't get the chance to have before, or sold when things changed, but now they're coming back, and that's a great reason to reinvest and to, buy all that stuff again. Oh, welcome in, Ads Commissions. Thank you very much for joining the gang, the cult. Gone full cultist. Excellent. There's going to be... I'm reworking everything for the channel again this year, because my attempted rework last year, I mean, it would have worked if I wasn't dealing with what we're pretty sure is, like, just undiagnosed attention deficit nonsense. But now I'm actually getting a bit of assistance for that. So I'm going to rework a lot of stuff. And this year, the goal is to have a new video for cultist members and above every week. And to just increase the output of the channel by quite a lot. And to stick with streaming and not get ill and have it cancelled for months on end. So, yeah. There's going to be loads more stuff for members and patrons this year. There's also a bunch of projects that I need your help with, and you're going to end up getting, like... You're going to end up seeing stuff that probably won't be published for, like, 3 months, because you're going to be getting all of the writing stuff and the build-up to it, and, like, the kind of making sure that it's good before it goes fully public and stuff, like, a lot more behind-the-scenes stuff. So, yeah. I still have my old High Elf models. That's cool. I will say, when it comes to playing fantasy on a budget, if you've got a 3D printer, there are countless, countless models that you can proxy with. Funnily enough, people have been really missing just, that kind of fantasy aesthetic, and as such, lots of people have been making it whilst Games Workshop haven't. So, Right, onto the healthy stuff of just drinking water for the rest of the day. The interesting thing will be to see how many people will invest into new armies. Yeah, I mean, that is something that is kind of interesting, because there's going to be a lot of people who just will reuse their old models. They'll just reuse what they already had. It'll be a case of, okay, we're starting all over again. I already have a full Bretonnian army. I don't need any of this. Like, maybe buy the Pegasus, but other than that, I don't actually need anything. I've got everything I want. I wondered whether that would have an impact on like how much was sold initially, but it doesn't seem to. It doesn't seem to. Especially since there will be a lot of people who will have just come straight in because of Total War Warhammer. Well, I reckon Kislev and oh, I've forgotten the name of the other faction. That's annoying. Kislev and begins with a C. Nope, it's gone. Cathay, that's it. Thank you. They're definitely going to show up later on as kind of second edition launches, right? I'm just assuming. I'm just assuming that that's how it's going to work. That it's going to be a case of, okay, here you go. You can have these two factions are now in because it's done well. We're doing second edition. Off we go. That's my assumption. I could be totally wrong, but and they have mentioned that it's kind of like a living universe. It's not stuck in one particular era. It is going to kind of change as we go on. So it would make sense for them to introduce them later, wouldn't it? Hello, Castellan. Kislev and Cathay have the same amount of pages and pictures in the rulebook as other factions. Interesting that is, isn't it? That is, yeah. Very interesting. I have a theory or hope that they will make army boxes for each faction that is being supported. Primarily waiting for Wood Elves to see what they do. Well, you know what? I kind of... This is one of the things that's kind of confused me a little bit with this launch. It does make sense to launch with like two main factions and to make boxes. But I don't know. I kind of... A little part of me was really surprised they didn't do like a versus box. Just a box full of two different forces to throw at each other. But then again, they're really pushing the fact that it's, you know, square bases, it's like rank and flank and so on, and would you be able to fit enough stuff in a versus box for that to work? And that's why they did two separate boxes. Aussie, there's no way they're going to retcon end times out. I'm really sorry, but that is absolutely not going to happen. There's no way. No way. You got no chance on that, because then that would mean like borderline retconning AOS. And I know, look, I know there is a subset of, you know, Warhammer fans, followers or consumers or customers of Games Workshop who don't like to hear this, but Age of Sigmar is actually fairly popular. And I know that not everyone likes AOS, but it is. Whether you like it or not, it is. And that's how that came about. And they're not just going to be like, nah, it never happened. It's the foundation of that entire game's story. So they're not going to get rid of it. They're just not going to. Also, I've just noticed, I'm not going to bring this up constantly, but I'm going to bring it up occasionally. 180 people watching, 40 likes. Come on. Come on, gang. What is this? Just click. It's just a little button down there. You just click it. It's fine. I have to admit, something that I do, something that I do like, not like, but it's been a long time. The old world's back. Warhammer Fantasy, it was end times quite a while ago. It sucks the thing that you like disappearing, but at the same time, I feel like at some point you just gotta kind of like get over it. Like I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't be upset that the thing you liked was taken away. That's totally reasonable. I absolutely get that. But at the same time, you know, old world's back now. So you've got the new thing and you've got the thing that you liked before, and they're both here now. So it's not going to go anywhere. I'm sorry. It's just not going to go anywhere. It's just going to keep going because it's done pretty well. It's done pretty well for them so far. I mean, to be honest, I'm not like bitter, but I could still be upset that my 13th Company army became irrelevant in like the 3-month break I took from 40k years and years ago. But you know, if you're gonna hold on to everything that Games Workshop takes away from you, you're gonna be more sad than happy 99% of the time. Because god damn, they got rid of a lot of stuff over the years, you know. Somehow I've accumulated 106 models for Warriors of Chaos. That's pretty good, Aaron. Nice one. Oh, also member for 5 months. What a hero. I'm not sure that getting over things is something your typical nerd is very good at. We nurse grudges better than the average dwarf. You're not wrong, Zingbo, to be honest. You're not wrong. I mean, I say all of that. I really wish 13th Company had stuck around for longer. Like, that was a cool army. That was a really cool army, and it feels like they introduced it and then they sacked it off way too quick. But, you know, there are so many things that Games Workshop used to make that are cool that just they got rid of that you know, you'd spend half your life being irritated if that's all you thought about, you know? Is Forgotten Realms versus Planescape both can exist? Yep. What's your thought on the return of metal miniatures? Personally, very disappointed. I hate them, especially for bigger models. Oh, I mean, to be fair, I hate metal miniatures. I just don't like working with them. I hate them more than I hate resin. Resin... I know, that's not fair either. I don't hate resin, I just don't like it. I much prefer plastic because it's way easier to work with, it's way easier to clean up, it's far more, you know, pliable and forgiving, and metal is just a pain. I never liked metal miniatures. Never. I've got quite a few, and I don't enjoy, and never enjoyed, assembling them or painting them, because they're just a pain in the backside. So, I don't know. Like, on the one hand, if they try to just use the same molds for resin, I don't think that works, and that might be why Finecast was so terrible. It does feel... I don't know why it feels slightly off to just have metal just come back and it be like, okay, well, that's what they were before, let's go. But then again, as we've already talked about, like, people seem to just want the same things that they had before. Like, I think at this stage, I'm increasingly... I mean, girl painting, I'm still mad that Inquisitor was discontinued because I want the models. I don't care about the game, I never got to play it. But I want the models because the models were insane. But of all of the games that Games Workshop has ever made, the Old World feels especially like one where they can just go, here's exactly the same thing again. And the overall reaction will be like, cool. And that'll be it. No sort of, I don't like it, or no, I'm not sure about that, or oh, could you not do an updated version? I feel like more than any other game they've ever done, this is the one where they can just go, we've dug this lad out of the back room, out of storage. We've got the mould for him back. Do you want him? And everyone will go, hell yes, give me that right now. So, metal still better than Finecast? Well, yeah. They're probably going to need time and money to get old fantasy stuff into plastic. I don't... That's the thing. At this stage, do they need to? Do they actually need to? I don't know that they do. I don't know that they actually have to. I think they can just get away with doing whatever. I think those who have been waiting for the old world and have been absolutely dying for fantasy to come back are just going to... Like, they're not going to care if it's in plastic or anything else. They're just going to be happy it's back. There is probably a good chance that Wood Elves come back. I think there's a good chance of that. I mean, Wood Elves are not really... Well, they've sort of been a thing in AOS, but not given as much love as a lot of other stuff. There's quite a few, like, forgotten things in AOS that are kind of there, but not really. Mordheim is still actively played at my local store. That's awesome. God, I want to play Mordheim. I need to find someone who plays Mordheim so I can learn Mordheim. That would be fun. Old world people are all about the rules first. Yeah, Games Workshop don't. I think the core is they don't need to update the old models. It'd be nice if they did, but they don't need to because people are going to buy them regardless. Do you think the made-to-order throwback deals are some kind of market research about how many old neckbeards are out there? Honestly, I think they already know girl painting. I think they already know that there are a lot of them. There's a lot. There's a hell of a lot. And there are still people who are collecting, like, as referenced earlier, the Steel Legion models. There are still plenty of people actively collecting Steel Legion armies, despite the fact that that range as a whole was axed God knows how long ago now. It's been at least a few. I mean, it's kind of hard to keep track of. The one, I tell you what, the one thing that is, like, not bad, but is increasingly tricky, as someone who makes videos about this stuff, is keeping track of when stuff happens. Because there is a constant churn. There's just a constant churn of models. An endless release cycle of, like, on a slow week, they'll reveal 2 new models, which doesn't seem like much, but then when you intersperse that with, like, busier weeks where they reveal, say, 3 models, preview streams where they reveal a whole bunch of models, you know, special events where they'll show off different things, store anniversary models, you know, the model of the month, all that sort of thing. When you actually look at how much stuff they release in a given year, trying to pinpoint when things were released, when things were taken away, when things were taken out of production, when things were put into made to order, or last chance to buy, it is so difficult to keep a good handle on when stuff is happening. Or, like, when, like, what things have happened when. So, like, Steel Legion, a lot of the Imperial Guard range that isn't just Cadians, they've been gone a while. I could not tell you how long because I can't remember how long ago it was. Just because there's so many... there's just so much everything happening. Which is good in terms of having loads of choice and having loads of new models and stuff, but very difficult to keep a distinct timeline of in your head, you know? It's the same thing with, like, when they do the like, oh, what was the best miniature of the year? I have to look at the list because I remember miniatures and then I'm like, oh, that was like 2 years ago. What the hell? Oh, wow, that went very quickly. That was a tangent, wasn't it? You're used to it at this point, aren't you? Rumour is Mordheim is in the works with Necromunda-style rules. That'd be kind of cool. Although, would it be as good as the old version? Because I feel like the old version is just praised as being pretty much perfect. Yeah, the Steel Legion did come back as made to order last year. It was really expensive as well. Do you think they'll bring Orion back as the last version of himself for Wood Elves, or will they not bring him back and create a new model? I don't know. I wouldn't like to say. It's kind of difficult to know what they're going to do. Like, story-wise, I guess. Like, how far they're going to advance it, what characters they're going to bring back. Although, I suppose if they're going to bring back... They'll want to bring back, like, fan favourites, won't they? So... We've gone way off what was the topic for this for this stream. We've gone way off, haven't we? It was mostly, like... When I say a bad start, it is very much just, like... No stock. No stock again. Like, third-party retailers hardly getting anything. Everything's selling out almost immediately. It feels like the last few things that have been released have had the same issue, where I've just seen, especially local retailers, third-party retailers, just having to outright say, hey, we asked for a bunch of these and we got 2. So, sorry gang, but we just don't have any stock. Games Workshop aren't sending us any. That has become far too consistent, and I think it's one thing when it's like Christmas Battle Forces. When it's Christmas Battle Forces, it's not good, obviously, but it's the rest of the stuff in those boxes are available and have been available for years. Like, when it's releasing products that have been available this whole time, but in a discount box, it's still not great, but it's also not terrible, because you can at least get the contents of that box outside of that, that specific release window. But when it comes to the launch of a product, especially for things that are like 155 quid, 175 quid, not having, hardly any of those available at third-party retailers for a significant discount, that just surely cuts down on the interest. And it surely cuts down on, like, the popularity of it. It kind of feels like strangling the thing before it's had a chance to properly get out there, just because you can't get hold of the actual game that you want to play, A lot of it just went out of stock immediately, which happens a lot. And right now, it seems like it's not a big deal, but it does make me wonder how many people get turned off from new products purely because they wanted it and then they just couldn't get hold of it, There's a 5-week wait for it in Australia. Oh my god. I don't think they could, though, in Games Workshop's defence, I don't think they could have gauged just how big the product was selling, how huge the pre-orders would be. That's also kind of a tricky thing, where I'd imagine a lot of this stuff is, like, they've done the research, but it's still difficult to gauge. But then again, they do things like the Indomitus box, which they did hardly enough of. Well, they didn't do enough of, and then they had to do a second run. But then they produced way more of the AOS box, but then that didn't sell nearly as well. But then AOS doesn't really have the same thing as 40k, where, Space Marines are overwhelmingly the most popular thing. AOS is a lot more varied, so I don't know that any particular launch box is going to necessarily do proportionally as well as a 40k launch box. I get that they, how are you supposed to judge it from one release to the next? Plus, so many boxes. So many boxes. So often. Like, we had a bunch of AOS boxes and a bunch of 40k boxes before Christmas. Then we had the Flesh Eater Courts box. now we've got the old world boxes. There's like a big chunky box every month, it feels like, and that is a lot to ask of the customer base to keep up with, you know. Leviathan is still in stock in a lot of places. Yeah, actually, that's true. I think there's still 3 at my local store as well. So, could just be they have a logistics throughput issue rather than an actual production issue. Well, I think they've got that new warehouse that they've been sorting out, but it feels like that was ages ago that they talked about that. Dark Angels box next. Yep. Ugh. It's highly unlikely. I really wanted to get that, but it's highly unlikely I'm going to be able to now. I know a lot of you probably don't follow me on what used to be Twitter, but there's a light up here that if it rains heavily, water comes through it. And yeah, that's a new roof on the office that I need to do, and that's very, 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 very expensive. So I'm just looking at it distrustfully now. It makes me sad. It makes me very, very sad. They won't redesign the Stormcast again. They'll just release ever more units. They'll just release more units. They're just going to constantly update, like, not update, but like do a mix of updating older versions of those models and introduce new versions of whatever they are. The Stormcast range is already bloated. It's just going to get worse. Unless they start sacking off the ones that they designed when AOS launched, which would probably be sensible, but whether they will or not, I don't know. I ordered the Legion Imperialis runes 2 times and GW cancelled it 2 times. I'm hoping for the 3rd time. Oh, God. Decided to set aside my plastic crack budget for the upcoming premium combat patrol magazines instead of one army for the old world. Sort of puts things into perspective. Yeah, budgeting is... I mean, it's necessary anyway. You shouldn't just be spending all your cash monies on Games Workshop, but new and improved Stormcast with longer legs. No, we're not having AdMech Stilt Boys with Batman nipple armor. That's not... No, we refuse. Skaven are due an update. I'm pretty sure Skaven are next up for their refresh, and we're due the 4th. I mean, is it this year we're due the 4th edition of AOS? Is it? I think so. I'm pretty sure. And then, I mean, with at least the Skaven stuff, a PDF for the old, old world. Yeah, great. Stormcast Thunder Thighs edition. Oh, Beastmen need an update as well. Beastmen really need an update. I mean, to be fair, Skaven absolutely need it. They absolutely need it.
I have bought nothing from them for 12 years. How can they know I will buy 1 to 3 of every single item?
I mean, that's a good question. And she worked! Yeah! Doreen's back. Thank you very much, Gilthos. Yeah, I mean, that is the other thing as well. especially with the old world, because it's been gone for so long, there will be so many people like yourself who have just been like, well, I don't want any of what you're doing right now, but if you brought this thing back, I would totally buy it. Who will jump at the opportunity, and they, how are they going to gauge that? Because the other thing is that if they did all the market research in the world and they went out and they were like, would you buy fantasy if we brought it back? Would you buy this if we brought it back? Would you buy that if we brought it back? The number of people who say yes and the number of people who would actually do it are vastly different, right? They are vastly, vastly different. That's not how that works. There is a reason why I don't... There's a reason why I don't ask questions as to what people want to see on the channel and instead just do stuff and see what does well. Because if I ask, would you like to see this specific video? The number of people who say yes to that, the number of people who watch it, it's like 1%. 10% if you are exceptionally lucky. It's just not how that works. So, oh god, 20% would be amazing, Lenora. God, can you imagine that? 20% of people who respond actually doing what they've said they would do. That would be incredible. That would be amazing. In retail, the one thing you can guarantee is that you can't guarantee anything. Yep. It is one of those things that does make you wonder about the not the longevity, but just how this launch could have possibly gone. Because there's a good chance that it would have just done nothing or gone insanely well. Because you also can't discount the idea that people wouldn't want to support a second go at fantasy because of how the first one ended. Because, for all the people who wanted it back and are going to play the game, I'm sure there are quite a few people who just were like, no, you're just going to kill it off again. I'm not buying into something only for you to mess it up for a second time. There will be people like that, so... What I've learned in 15 years of making YouTube videos, Space Marine videos go good, everything else not. Well, yeah. Unless you go like the Squidmar route. And there's a specific type of video, and I can't think of what it's called, where it's like, I spent X amount on this, that, or the other. I can't remember what the name of it is, but I've seen a term for that type of video. But then you have to get to the position of being able to do that in the first place, which, he did by being very good at making videos, so... Plus, for all of the Henry Cavill faces, and, I poured $1,000 worth of resin onto this warlord. It's actually very good painting and editing, and it's engaging, and... Well, that's the thing. Some of it is clickbait. Like, undeniably clickbait. Like, sticking Henry Cavill's face on a video when Henry Cavill has had nothing to do with the video, that's just outright clickbait. But saying, I took this amount of this stuff and did this with it, and that's what you actually did, I don't know if I count that as clickbait, because you are getting what was advertised in the title/thumbnail, Oh, unsanctioned goof. Hello, how you doing? A few AOS players in my area who used to play Warhammer Fantasy don't want to go back to Old World after enduring the loss the first time. Yeah, you can't really blame them. It's, if you've already been burnt and you think there's a chance of being burnt again, why would you risk it? You just wouldn't, would you? At the end of the day, it might be a hobby, but it also, as most hobbies do, it costs money. And if you're not convinced that the company is going to reward your spending of said money on their product with actually supporting it, then you're not gonna want to pay them anything, are you? Hello, Sleeth. Sleeth? No. Terrible pronunciation there. What makes you sad, Goof? What makes you sad? But yeah, Squid Mars Manta series is good. That's the thing. To be fair to him, Henry Cavill faces aside, his videos, he does what he says in them. 99.9% of the time, if he says he's doing a thing, he's done the thing. I think it's a bit cheeky releasing those ancient models that don't look great with one new sculpt in each box and asking 175 quid for it. Well, that's a very good reason to not to not go for it. To be fair. You should be unsanctioned, Goof. What are you talking about? Are you really not on there? Alright, I will sort that out. Unless it's... Oh, have I been using... Oh, God. You know what? I bet I've been pulling from the wrong image. I've got multiple ones, and I bet I haven't... I bet I've got the wrong one linked in Prem Pro, which is finally starting to behave itself, by the way. I think I've sort of sorted it now. The fact that they've made Tomb Kings and Bretonnia boxes fills me with both hope and optimism. They release limited army boxes for all. I mean, it would be good. It would be good, but it'll take a while for them to do that, I think. It'll take a while for them to do that. The way they've approached it, it's so difficult to tell what they're going to what they're going to do next for the old world, because the way they've started it off is just very limited. Like, the model release is super limited, but then the ability to play multiple factions is there, but not necessarily any new models for those other factions. And yeah, this is why the whole thing feels a little bit strange, because it feels like a half commitment to me. Why do they do that, though? Is it that difficult to make some new models? Weren't they busy developing this game for the last 5 years or something? That's the thing, Punky Llama. They're not they don't necessarily... The old world is like this weird mix of a new product, but based entirely on old stuff. And also was built to support people who already have all the product required to play the new game. So the whole approach to it is kind of odd. It's kind of weird. Because it's not like Horus Heresy or like a new faction in AOS or 40k. It's like a good chunk of people will already have what they need to play outside of the rules. But then there will also be people wanting to get into it who don't have any of that. So they need to buy the stuff that other people already have because it's a new rule set based off an old game. And the approach is just odd. It's just weird. Well, that's the mad thing, right? Like, I feel like they've just done it to capitalize on the Total War hype. It's the the fact that Total War Warhammer is not based in AOS, and it was based in fantasy, which I still think is such a bizarre decision. Because they're like, look at this cool universe that we killed. You know? Like, that's baffling to me. That's the way they did it. But they did. those who already have that stuff are not unlikely to start a new army too. That's fair enough as well. Yeah, that's fair. It is. It is like, just as products as games go, the old world is just, it is kind of weird. It is kind of weird. It's a new system based off an old system that they got rid of in favor of a different system. It's using old models that a lot of people still have plenty of, but they need to produce new models, or at least they need to start producing those old models again, so that those who do not have those, models can start playing the game, and also to entice people who already have other armies to start new armies to support the new product that's actually an old product that's been brought back but different. So it's got to simultaneously be close to fantasy in terms of its appeal and its rules, so that you get the old, the old guard want to play it. It's also got to have the old models, but you also need to have some new ones in there to entice people who already own the stuff to buy more stuff. But it's also got to be enticing enough to get new people to play. Like, it feels like an ask. It feels like an ask. I mean, the fact that it's sold out immediately means they've done pretty well in my eyes, to at least gauge slightly how it could go. But it is conceptually a strange way of going about things, Yeah, it is. It is kind of like it's as a game and as a range, it sort of has to be all things to all people. It has to appeal to old players with existing collections, new players who want to start new collections, old players who want to expand their collections. Like, it's just, what do you do? What do you do? You have to bring back all the old stuff, or people won't be happy. You can't replace it with new stuff, or they won't be happy. But then again, you can't just bring back all the old stuff, because then there'll be people who won't be happy. Like, Jesus Christ. Just so much, so much like conflicting. It's like cognitive dissonance, the game. And I get that they want, obviously they want any product they make to appeal to old and new players and so on and so forth, but new products are new products. This has got like a weight and a history behind it that other stuff didn't have. Like AOS, they wiped fantasy out for AOS. Like, they may have hoped that the existing players came over to AOS, but frankly, I don't think they were banking on it. I think they were going on the basis that if they lose them, they lose them, but they've got to do something to mean that their fantasy line actually does anything for them. Whereas this is not the same as that. They took fantasy out back and put it down. This is not anywhere close to that sort of hard reset. This is so much more complicated, I guess. Yeah, they've addressed kind of newer stuff with the newer models they've done for both Tomb Kings and Bretonnia, but they haven't done very many models at all. They need to re-establish that Warhammer Fantasy is actually their thing after Total War made it massively popular again. Yeah, that's Total War's done a lot for that setting. Yeah, it's the timing of it is all kinds of odd, where they killed fantasy in favor of AOS, and then fantasy became massively popular due to a video game based in the universe that they killed off to make room for AOS. The fact they did metal models rather than resin is because they can melt the metal back down to repurpose. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think it's probably just if they have the molds that they have that still work, they're just using them. To be honest, kind of what it feels like. Although I'm not an expert in producing any miniatures, so don't take that as gospel. No, Thomas, we're doing Monday streams again. In fact, we're aiming Monday, Wednesday, and Friday again. The only reason I stopped last year was because I got COVID again, and then the side effects from that, it just lasted so long, and I kept getting like a little bit ill, and then coughing all the time, which meant that I couldn't really stream. But we're planning to go back to actually streaming 3 times a week. So yeah. The metal models are some that were made with fine cast. They rather do metal now. Yeah, fine cast. Oh god. Oh, it's so much fun remembering fine cast as a thing. Was a thing. It's not great. It's not great. If you got it from the other side, what if they never brought back the old models? Wouldn't it make the older players upset and then lose people who invested lots into the game? Yeah. I mean, yeah, if they just redesigned everything, then there would be people unhappy with that. 100%. They kind of needed to bring back old models and also introduce new models and cover every single base pretty much. I'm planning on it pretty much always being 10 o'clock on a Monday. Yeah. Thinking Mondays and Fridays will be morning, and then Wednesdays be evening. That's the aim. I really need to. I can't say want to. No, that's not true. I need to build up members for the channel. So, thinking evening streams would probably be better for that. But it's tricky to find a free evening because children. So. But yeah, Wednesdays is the plan. Yeah, realistically, ad revenue on YouTube is so bad at the moment that most channels are kind of. I'm afraid memberships and super chats are keeping everyone afloat at the moment, and that has not worked well for me because of not being able to stream for ages due to stupid COVID long-term side effects. But that's kind of the reality of it, really. Memberships and super chats are what are keeping channels going because ad revenue is terrible. Absolutely atrocious. Strikes me as a market test, knowing they have limited production and don't want to waste investment if it isn't popular. The question is, will they ever have the production capacity? I mean, that is a question that I would love to ask someone. No one would tell me. No one who works for Games Workshop would tell me whether that's, tell me anything about that. But I would love to know what their capacity is and whether they are really struggling with it. But nostalgia hits too hard, especially for a lot of people who have followed and supported Games Workshop for years and years, like I have, and people who have loved it longer than me. Old World is a chance for me to see what I missed. Yeah, I mean, there is also that aspect of things as well. Like, there's plenty of stuff where I would really like to. I would really like to play things like Inquisitor and Mordheim and Battlefleet Gothic. No, missed out on them first time round. Would really like to actually do something with them now. And let's face it, some of the Underworld's warbands they've been making are borderline Mordheim anyway. Like the what are they called? These guys. Hexbane's Hunters, these lads. Like with you got like you witch. Oh, I haven't got autofocus on, that's not going to work, but the kind of witch hunters. They're very Mordheim, which is awesome. Did you know you can set resin in metal molds? I did not know that, Mike. There's a site being expanded near the current factory for additional production and storage. Yeah, they mentioned that quite a while ago, but the crazy thing is, Sam, classic case of overpromise and underdeliver. I don't know that they necessarily promise very much at all for the old world. They promised Tomb Kings and Bretonnia to start, and that's exactly what we got, but we didn't really get anything else. Like, I mean, you know, rule books, but yeah, I don't know. I'm still surprised they did a proper re-release of Epic right before Old World. Feels like shooting themselves in the... That's true as well. Although, then again, this version of Epic doesn't have quite the same appeal as the old version because they went just into making it Horus Heresy. So, like... Yeah, it's just... It is Epic, but it's also not as wide a scope as Epic became. With it all being Horus Heresy, it's less... I think there's less crossover, there's less impact of that on the old world. I'd love to know how many people didn't bother to get into Legions Imperialis because of the looming promise of old world, though. What would you want them to do in an attempt to make the release of Old World better? How would you address the situation? Honestly, just make it more available. Just make it more... It's like... Don't make it so that third-party retailers get, like, 2 boxes each. Don't charge, like, frankly, quite extreme prices for ancient models. Although, that's... You know, that's a pipe dream because they're going to charge the same amount for everyone for everything because it's Games Workshop, so everything is going to be expensive comparatively. But it still doesn't feel quite right, I suppose. That like the Battle Pilgrims for Bretonnia, they are £50, right? £50 for 15 guys. Now, if you go and have a look at Horus Heresy, and you just want a tactical squad, 20 lads of Mark III, that's £45. 20 lads of Mark VI is £50. I mean, that's still £50, but that's still 20 new sculpts for the same cost as 15 very old ones. You know? It's very difficult to square that. It just is. Plus, multi-part metal kit. Oh, my mistake, sorry. It's 12, it's not 15. So, you know, like, I've just made it, you know, it's actually worse than I said. It's 12 metal models for £45, as opposed to 20 new models for 45. Not even 45. The 12 metal models are 50, and the 20 new ones are 45. It's just... It's hard to look at that and not give a bit of a, oh, really? Oh. That's okay, we're doing that, are we? Okay. Sure. Like, that doesn't fill me with, you know, immediately wanting to go out and grab them, you know? Three Grail Knights being 100 Australian dollars. Oh, Jesus, 100 Australian dollars. Ugh. Yeah, it's, you know, I knew it was going to be expensive. Of course it was going to be expensive. Of course it was. There was no way that they were going to make any of this cheap. You know, they've positioned it the same way they positioned Horus Heresy. It's like top of the chain expensive. But that doesn't mean that you have to sit there and go, well, that's fine. You can still look at this stuff and be like, I knew it was going to cost a lot. Oh my god, that costs a lot. You know? Yeah, the Necrosphinx is weirdly okay. Like, it's the thing with the Necrosphinx is it's no worse than any other old plastic kit. It's still plastic. It's still a plastic kit, and I feel like it builds two things as well. So, 45 quid is not terrible for the size of model it is compared to newer sculpts. The trebuchet is going to be horrendous. Yeah, it's going to cost so much money. It's going to cost so much money. The trebuchet is going to be atrocious. It's going to be bad. Real bad. GW definitely underestimated demand for this. One store asked the GW rep for 15 to 20 of each item, and the rep couldn't believe they wanted that much old world stuff. Well, yeah. Yeah. I take it Ashabti are also metal. I'm assuming. Oh, £52? Oh my god. Ugh. Yeah, metal again. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's so much. Oh, what the hell? Sepulchral Stalkers are... What, are they metal too? Oh no, they're plastic. See, again, $37.50 is not terrible for that. Like, it's comparative to... Comparative? That's not a word. Comparatively, it's not that bad when you look at other kits that are still available of that age, you know? Yeah, I mean, that is the other thing, Lauren. Tomb King's got a fair bit of stuff right before they killed the setting off. So they've come out of this in, like, not the worst position. Not the worst position. You know, they've got stuff in there that is, in the grand scheme of things, when you look at them compared to what's available for AOS, actually not bad. I mean, to be honest, the Tomb Guard, I think, are on par with what you pay for the newest version of the... Is it the Grave Guard? No, it's not the Grave Guard. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of the lads for the Soulblight Grave Lords, the Armoured Skelly Boys, Death Rattle Skeletons, that's it. So Tomb Guard are like... Oh, wow. Tomb Guard are £10 more expensive than Death Rattle Skeletons. That's actually a bit surprising. Because it's the same number of lads in the unit. And the Death Rattle Skeletons are some great casts. I mean, also, to be fair, the Tomb Guard look fantastic. The Tomb Guard have not aged a day. Like, I mean, come on, look at this, right? Look at this. No, that's not worked. Why has that not worked? That's just put me in a small box. Why has that happened? There we go. Like, look at these. If you told me that those were being revealed today, yeah, yep, I'd believe you. I'd 100% believe you that those are today. Games Workshop have just shown off new Tomb Guard. You could absolutely believe that. I mean, when you look at them compared to these, I would suggest that the standard is pretty much... Stylistically, they're a little bit different. Like, the style isn't the same. Why is this so blown out, this image? What the hell is this? And this butt, right? Can I get rid of that bar? Can I get rid of the butt? Yeah. No, come here. Come here. Come here. There you go. Oh, no, we've still got that bit. No. I tried to get rid of it. But, like, stylistically, yes, they are different. But quality of sculpt-wise, those still look absolutely fantastic. And there's repeated poses in both, it's worth pointing out. They might not be as obvious, but there are repeated poses in both. But yeah, Tomb Kings have definitely got a slightly better deal because they've got more plastic, which means they're a bit more reasonable to get into. I'm looking at these from a perspective of, one, the prices you'd get for these models are cheaper than what you would get from eBay or elsewhere. That's very true. And two, I'm happy that they bring them back, and I don't care if they bring them back temporarily anyway, because I'll grab what I want, that'll be that. Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, especially, like, we've talked about the Necrosphinx. The Necrosphinx is a great model, and I've wanted one for ages, but I was not paying £100 to £200 on eBay. I was just not going to pay that. And now it's back. So when it shows up, having been restocked at my local store, I will be getting it. It would be nice if Vampire Counts was there, but yeah, I mean, the Stalkers and the Tomb Guard, they look good. They look good. They're older kits, but they don't look old, if that makes sense. Well, that's the thing, Wolver. I do know someone who spent a considerable amount of money on a Necrosphinx. They really wanted a Necrosphinx. And this was, to be fair, like a few years ago. Like before Old World was even announced, they did it. But yeah, I was never going to plump that for an old kit that cost a fraction of it. I love that Tomb Guard originally came 10 to a box. The promo was just only 2 copies of the original pictures. I mean, yeah, that's true. What I'm really hoping is that eventually they do for the Death Rattle skeletons. They do that for the Graveguard, because the Graveguard look nasty now. They look rubbish. The Death Rattle skeletons look way better than the Graveguard do. And the Graveguard is supposed to be like higher up. They just look so dated and old. Also, Graveguard and Tomb Guard is not going to get confusing for people at all. Well, that could be worse. They could have called them the exact same thing, which is, you know, happen in multiple other situations with their games.
Look into L-lysine and loricidin, over-the-counter, and Valtrex, prescription, if long COVID persists.
Ooh, okay. I will absolutely look into that. Thank you, USA Libertarian. I think it's mostly shifted. It's just been an absolute pain to deal with for a long time. Yeah, Joe, like it was last year, like last September, I want to say, got COVID again, and then it just never really went away. I was ill over Christmas as well, actually. It just never shifted properly. I just went from having COVID to having a cough to having something else. It just wouldn't just wouldn't quit, just wouldn't leave me alone. Kind of like the Saurus Warriors and the Saurus Guardian. Vulva. Okay, so, like, conversion ideas. I'm going to get a Necros Sphinx because I'm going to make another Cosmic Horror Mega Gargant out of it. Like, that's 100% going to happen. I've got a pair of Terrorgeist wings, so I'm going to be taking the Necros Sphinx, the big cool wings that it's currently got. I'm going to be taking those and using them on something else. He's not going to have his head. In fact, you know what? Let's just change over. Let's just change onto here. So, this lad here. I'm going to try and get rid of this stupid bar. Hang on a second. I want the whole thing gone. I want all of that gone. No, that's not quite got rid of it. What about this? Is this going to go? Yes! Yeah, look at that. Oh, look how clean it is. Look, we can see. We can see now. That's great. Okay. I'll have to show you which bit that was. You know what? I'm going to show you which bit that is. Okay, so you're using Chrome, right? If you're using Chrome, right click on the thing down there, go to inspect. Then you want to go, hang on, let's just move this over here. Move this over here. So you want to get rid of, it's not that one. You want to get rid of there. I think it's that bit. So this one here. This one here. Get rid of that and that should get... There you go. There you go. That's how you get rid of that. So you can see what you're doing better. Just throwing it out there. I know Fenris Wolf. I know that it's an absolute... I know it's trash. I know Chrome's trash, but I just have everything loaded into it, and I don't want to... I'm too set in my ways to move over. Even though it is currently taking... What is it taking? Oh, it's only like collectively... It's only collectively taking like 2 gig. 2 gig of RAM. It's only using 2 of it. It's fine. I've still got 24 spare, alright? I've still got 24 spare, so it's fine. So, what I'm going to do is this handsome, chunky lad. The wings, I mean, I'm keeping those for a different Cosmic Horror Mega Gargant. Obviously, going to keep those. And then the head is not going to be his head. Instead, I'm going to try molding this year. So I'm going to take a bunch of arms, like zombie arms that I've got, from just the Dead Walker zombies, and he's going to have a bunch of arms coming out of the big cowl where his face is coming out of there. Going to have the Terrorgeist wings that's coming out of the back, where the kind of cool Egyptian-y-esque wings currently are. The tail I'm probably going to keep, but there's going to be something horrific on the end of it. And I'm not sure yet whether to keep the wings or not. Like the arms or not. There's a good chance the wings might end up coming out of the shoulder blades. Like coming out of where the shoulders are. There's a good chance that might happen. Instead of going on the back, but I'm not sure yet. I kind of need to have it in front of me. So I can mess about with it, because I have an idea where things might go to look cool looking at it, but I won't know until I start dry fitting stuff. But that is likely not going to happen for quite a while, because, as I mentioned before, the roof over my head needs to be replaced. So buying random models at the moment is not necessarily something that is financially viable, which is a real shame, because I want to, but, you know. I did toy with the idea of starting a roof fund goal, but it would be so high that it would look like I was taking the piss, so I haven't. Now I've just got the necro thing staring at me. Stop looking at me. I still haven't found Barry, by the way. I still don't know where he is. I still cannot find that model at all. I don't know what I've done with him. I think I've thrown him somewhere, but I feel really bad. I need to find him, but I just don't know where I could have put him at all. With the Tomb Kings coming, I'll be able to kit bash my Primaris Loyalist 1,000 Sun successors. That's a quality idea. Love that. Yeah. Oh, thank you, David. Get a new orc and call him Barry. The kids will never know. No, we can't just replace Barry. We can't just replace it. Him. Oh, harsh. Thank you very much. Oh, God, I've lost the ability to talk again. Thank you very much, Sarah Quinn. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully, see you for the next one. Yeah, I've got to find him. He's got to be around here somewhere. Like I just don't know where I could have possibly put him, because it makes no sense to have lost him. Because he always stayed in, like, I tried to keep him in sensible places where I could see him. I feel like at some point I've cleaned my desk or something, and I've clearly put him in a drawer or put him in a box or something, and he's just never reappeared again. The new Scouts and Striking Scorpions box is arriving this weekend. Oh, good grief. It's just relentless, isn't it? It's absolutely relentless. They're like about to release that as well. Wait, this weekend? Isn't there a 2-week lead on the... I thought this weekend... In fact, let's have a look. Sunday preview. Let's have a look at the Sunday preview quickly. See what we got. It's the first Sunday preview of 2024. We've got AOS, Blood Bowl and Black Library from next Saturday. Oh, Trug's on the way. That's cool. Trug's quality. Yeah, look at him go. Such a ridiculous model. See, I loved Trug, but he's been so heavily overshadowed by Usharan, the Summer King. Got Iona's Cryptborn, who still looks pretty cool. And we've got this lad. Still don't know what to think. Then we got Skitter Stab for Blood. What a name. And Grashnak Blackhoof. That's just a solid Beastman skull. Look at that. That just looks great. Awesome. Yeah. And then we've got Black Library. So I don't think... Doesn't look like Scouts versus Scorpions is coming this Saturday then. Because these are next week's pre-orders. Maybe the week after? Oh, sorry, I see what you mean, Zethel. Oh, wait, so I missed their pre-order. God. Wow. That's impressive. How'd I do that? I bet that went quick. That went quick, right? Did it sell out immediately? It's got to have done, surely. Wow, I don't know how I missed that one. It was a full. Was it the full box complete with scenery? Oh no. Okay, yeah. It was the sort of halfway one, wasn't it? Right. It's got the kill teams, but it hasn't got a full set of scenery. You could buy the scenery separately. Yeah, that's not a bad box, to be fair. And I do appreciate they're breaking them out and not making you buy a whole set of scenery with every one of these boxes now, because so many people have already got way more than they need. Way more than they need for kill team scenery. Oh no, I'm going to sneeze. There we go, sorted it. I prevented you from having your ears blown out. You're welcome. I'm generous like that. Would have been nicer if they had lowered the prices too. Buying the kill team and scenery combined now is way more expensive than we thought. Wow, that's true, yeah. I feel like, to be honest, there is at any given point a good chance of them just making things way more expensive. Just one of them things. It's just going to happen. It's just going to constantly happen, you know? Warcry has definitely got more expensive, but that's mostly because most of the damn war bands are only available off their site now, which is a real shame. They used to be readily available anywhere, but it's only the newer ones now that are, which is a real pity. I'm mostly kind of wondering what they're going to reveal today, because they normally do a model reveal on Monday. Is it going to be Blood Bowl or is it going to be Necromunda? That's the question. A lot of the newer sculpts they just stick in a box to launch, and then you've got to wait ages for them to show up solo, which is frustrating. There's been quite a few like that. It's pretty much the standard practice now. It's just to get you in. Like, if you really want the thing, you've got to splash out to get it now, or you're going to have to wait quite a long time. Oh, interesting. I've just had a quick look, and it looks like there are quite a few battle forces still available for AOS. I wonder if there are still some for 40k. That's a bunch of Tyranid pre-orders, combat patrols. No, I can't see any for 40k. Interesting. I really wish it was easier to navigate this damn site. So pre-orders are there, but it wouldn't be pre-orders, it would be under new releases, wouldn't it? Oh, there's a bunch of made-to-order stuff. Wait, when was this? When was this made-to-order, like, group thrown up? How did I miss this? God, I've been really slacking, haven't I? God. Necron, Sentry, Pylon. Quite a few things here. The Landspeeder Tempest. Not that you can use it for anything now, but sure. Although, can you use that in Horus Heresy? I don't know if you can. Regents of the Orden Rift? I don't even remember that. Is that a striking scorpions thing? What? I genuinely do not recognise this. I feel like I should. The Mate Order was tagged on the end of the Old World launch. That makes sense. Why would you? Why would you? Who? Right. Gang. Here's the thing, right? We need to have a conversation. We need to have a conversation about this. I need to ask you a question. Who is buying this? Who is buying this? Have any of you bought it? You answer me now. Have any of you bought it? Have any of you spent £9 on a Necron's torso and a staff? Have you? Have you bought it? Because if you bought that, you need to have a word with yourself. It's a new year, right? It's a new time. It's a new era. It is the year of our Lord, 2024, and I'm afraid this is the time to let go of the past. That's the past. That is a Necron torso with a stick, and it's £9, and there is literally no reason for anyone to buy this. None. Zero. Zilch. Nothing. There is no reason to buy this. Do not disappoint me and buy this. Don't do it. That is disgraceful. Look at it. No. Just flat out no. It's a 100% no on that. I just don't. Why? Why? Why do you even bring that back? What? Ozzy, I don't believe you. I don't believe you that you bought it. I think you're more sensible than that. I just don't think that anyone... It's blowing my mind. It is blowing my mind that that is a thing that you can pre-order. That's made to order. That's made to... I don't know why, but I just can't wrap my head around the idea that that thing has gone made to order. Of all the options. That? I mean, it's the Locust Destroyer is the most rubbish of the two options anyway. It's the one that doesn't look as good. Honestly, the Locust Destroyers need to be sorted out. They need to be redesigned. The Heavy Destroyer is so good that, like, that base is just laughable now. You can't have that anymore. You can't have it anymore. It just doesn't... It's just not right, man. It's just not right. So what else is there? Necron Lord of Resurrection. I mean, I still have that somewhere. It's been around for so long. That's always been a cool one. Oh, the Iron Warriors Warsmith. I've still got that somewhere as well. That's metal, though. So, while stocks last, if you want, you can have the Cadian Defence Force, you can have the Beast Snagger Stampede, the World Eaters one, or the Space Marine Spearhead Force. That's gone. That's gone. Okay, so there's still a few battle forces left with the restock. Got a choice of 4. Why is the Seraptech? Is that even still? They're still selling the Seraptech, right? They're still selling that. They're not selling the weapons for something you can't buy anymore. I mean, you know, I'm asking the question, and I'm not asking it to be facetious. I'm genuinely curious. I can't remember seeing it. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, they are still selling it. That's okay. The day that goes, that's going to be a sad day. It's going to happen, but I'd prefer if it didn't. Also, why aren't these updated? I'd love to know. It needs to be done. Come on. Come on now. Look at him. I mean, they are class, but still. I mean, we can redesign flight stands by removing them completely and doing something else. That's acceptable. uh, the Nightbringer is a great model. I mean, to be fair, it's a really good model. It's just, I don't know. I've like, I was ruined by having the metal version, and I hated putting it together because it didn't go together. It didn't go together. It was so difficult to assemble, and then like it wasn't just hard to assemble as well. Things like the arm and the scythe were weirdly fragile and bent too easily, and like I love the Nightbringer. I just wish that my first experience of it wasn't as terrible as it was, because I just can't face the idea of assembling another one. Even though it's not in metal anymore, it's in resin. But still. But I feel like it needs to be bigger. It needs to be bigger. Bigger, easier to put together, not as fragile. That would be my wish for an updated Nightbringer. I mean, hell, make it basically the same, just scale it up. I mean, yeah. Also, it does remind me of those like glorious days where you weren't fielding a shard of the Nightbringer. You were just summoning a god onto the battlefield. What a time that was! What a time! What a time that was! Everyone else, oh, I've got a Chaos Lord. Oh, I've got a Demon Prince. Oh, look at me, I've got, some Space Marine hero or some sort of big gribbly. Yeah, well, here is a god. Deal with it. Like, class. Absolutely stupid. Incredibly stupid. Made no sense. Like, what? Why was that even a thing? Why were you able to summon this entire divine? Well, not divine, but just ridiculous. But at the same time, kind of cool at the same time. You don't want to summon me, I'm a terrible tactician. I'll make you lose. It also was, like, I seem to remember it being good, the Nightbringer, but it was also fairly heavy in points, and I don't believe it was ever really worth me fielding it. I don't think, anyway. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Definitely didn't live up to the idea of summoning a god onto the tabletop, I can remember that much. Also, because I had mine when I was not good at painting, mine looked like absolute shit. It looked terrible. Absolutely awful. Very badly painted. Very, very badly painted. Thinning paints, what even was that? You got as much on the brush as you could, and then because he was supposed to be black and sort of a grey-blue, he was mostly black. And that's about it. He just looked terrible. Do you think when they eventually do 40k Fulgrim, they'll actually further the Eldar storyline to match? Or are they taking yet another Space Marine L? Oh, I don't know. It seems highly likely that it would just be Fulgrim versus some poor sod Space Marine. It's the easiest way to do it, isn't it? It's the classic classic fight. Chaos versus Space Marines. all other fights are borderline irrelevant. Yeah, Tom, it's the dollop method. I used the dollop method a lot back in the day. A lot. I ruined a lot of miniatures. I would argue until fairly recently I was still ruining a fair number of miniatures, but you know. Thinning paints was an invention years in the making to prepare for Duncan's capitalist empire built on paint. The scoop and smush sounds not ideal. Slaanesh is like the only Eldar enemy that isn't We Are the Side faction that helped revive Gilliman. Yeah. I still can't. Okay, I've got to get off this page. I can't get over the made to order Locust Lord. Just insanity. Absolute madness. That has reminded me, actually. Summon Kyrie off the table and he will unsettle the opponent with his conversions. I need to paint that thing. I really need to paint that. The six-winged murder chicken needs to be finished. The prices hold up when inflation is taken into account on the core boxes, although to purchase the individual units seem overpriced. Old World could be huge if supported, same as AOS and 40k. Yep, I think that's fair. I don't know if it's going to be supported the same though. I feel like it might not be. But again, like as we said earlier, it's quite a weird product, so the real insanity is how few models Games Workshop gave AdMech compared to the other codexes released at the same time. Yeah, I feel like AdMech are a little bit underserved. They do have stuff for like everything, but definitely feels like they could do with a little bit more in some places. Also, that goddamn stilt walker lad. It's still baffling. Still an insane move. No, I think you're right, Devon. I think they could do with a few named characters. They have like stuff for everything, but I don't know. It still feels like a fairly small range for whatever reason. I mean, if they did plastic Mechanicum, that would be insane and great. The Song of Slaanesh brought up in the Bible books might be a way to get the Eldar to have a goal by targeting Slaanesh requires to weaken Slaanesh and get the Emperor's children involved in the setting. Yep. Could be worse. They could be Drakari. Almost 40% of their range isn't on sale, and a lot of the rest is fine cast resin. Yeah, Drakari are languishing pretty heavily. They need a proper update. They really need a proper update. They've had a few things, but not much and not for a while. What was the last new thing they got? What was the last new kit? Technically, they had. Wow, they've had new Lilith, haven't they? They've had new Lilith. They had new Incubi, but that was a while ago now. Was it Witches that got updated as well? Or am I misremembering? Oh yeah, there was the kill team. Although the Corsair Void Scarred can't they be used as? Can they be used as both Drakari and Eldari? I can't remember. Oh, Hand of the Archon. Yeah, okay. I'd totally forgotten Hand of the Archon. Yeah, they really haven't had much, have they? There's not really a lot going on in that range. Very, very limited in... Yeah, and it's an upgrade sprue. So if you get the Hand of the Archon, then you kind of get a few more options, but it's a tenner more than the Kabbalite Warriors. I mean, they do look good, but it's still not a massive addition to the range, is it? Hand of the Archon doesn't even have rules for 40k. They just said play them as Kabbalite Warriors. Oh, okay, right, well. Great, awesome. Ugh. Blood of the Phoenix 2. With Dark Eldar refreshes versus refresh Warp Spiders. That would be kind of fun. New racks, please. I mean, to be fair, there's quite a few things that could do with updating. I still think the Reavers look fantastic. The Reavers are some of the coolest vehicles in 40k. And the Talos and the Chronos still look great, but it's like vehicles, fine. The rest of the range can probably do with an update. I think that's true for quite a few factions, though, honestly. Oh, it's so cold in here. Even worse for Necrons. The Higher Attack Circle has some cool characters, but none have rules for 40k. Yep. There's like cross compatibility, but it's super limited, isn't it? For a lot of it, like super limited. I don't think even I was just looking at the actual page for Drakari, and Mandrakes aren't even on here. So are they gone? Are they just gone the way of the dodo? Are they just going to show up as made to order in like 6 months' time or something? Oh, coming in plastic. Ooh, okay. How much of it is down to just not appearing on the new site? Using the filter system. Oh yeah, we love the filter system. The filter system is great, flawless, works brilliant. None of that's true. None of it. Hello, Glenn. Oh, you know what? We're pretty much at the 2 hour mark. And I've got so much stuff to edit this afternoon. We're really trying to like hone back in on getting a good number of videos out a week and stuff. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to try and push for more members and stuff as well. Because otherwise, this whole thing might be relatively short-lived this year. We'll see. But yeah. Lots of stuff planned for the next few weeks. Loads and loads. And members we'll get a video probably Thursday, I think is when I've got it slated for release. Kind of going over a load of stuff that's happening. I'm afraid you've missed most of it, Hoku. We were talking about the old world to start with, and then it just devolved into the usual off-topic nonsense that normally happens on this channel, which you're all used to at this point. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. You're all used to it. You know it's gonna be a thing. We never stay on topic for long, do we? Never. Never stay on topic. Oh, good luck painting Imperial Fists. I mean, yellow is my least favourite colour to paint. Just flat out, I just can't do it. People keep saying it's easy, but it's not for me. Never for me. No, not quite that bad, Hogan. Not quite that bad. Oh, I suppose airbrushing and then contrasting for tiny lads. No, that would work, wouldn't it? Yeah, Zethel, there's usually something that comes out on a Monday. It's normally a model reveal, but it depends on what it is. Not sure whether it'll be Necromunda or Blood Bowl or something else. We'll have to see. It'll be this afternoon at some point, I'm sure. That's normally when they do it anyway. Yeah, if you're doing Borderline for Bretonnians, you're gonna have to get some nice smooth yellows on that. Right. We've had a couple of hours. I'm gonna go away, have some lunch, and then come straight back to this desk and do more stuff. It just won't be live. But we will be live again on Wednesday. I've yet to decide on a time. There will be a scheduled stream on the channel that you'll be able to see, so you'll know when it's happening. It'll be up well in advance. Probably set that schedule tomorrow. So keep an eye out for when that is planned to go live. Thank you all very much for joining me on this chilly Monday morning. Is there still no Discord notification? Alright, well, I'll try and fix that before Wednesday as well. So much stuff. So many things that don't work. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I will see you for whatever video is later on today, and hopefully see you on Wednesday when we go live again. Have a good Monday, depending on time zone. Yeah, it's still Monday. I'm going to stop.